A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7.
People upset with ICE raids decided to go to the Border Patrol agents themselves, complaining at Homeland Security about these raids. We'll have more coming up.
An East Charlotte bakery has shut its doors over Border Patrol fears. Coming up, what the owner witnessed and why he says it was the only option.
Plus, multiple shooting investigations underway in Charlotte. The latest just hours ago. What we know about those involved.
The FAA lifting flight cuts nationwide. How soon? Normal schedules will resume at Charlotte Douglas.
November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month.
We'll tell you how what you eat can impact your chances of getting the disease. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus.
All right, time to get our Monday morning started. This is I-77 at Westinghouse Boulevard. You can see it is already getting quite busy as people are waking up and heading out the door this morning. The good news is we don't have any significant delays that you need to be worried about. Otherwise, as we're heading into our maps, you can see just had one crash to let you know about. It's going to be right here on Beatty Drive at I-85, exit 27. Otherwise, we'll have more on WCNC Plus. Chris.
And it is a gorgeous start to the day today and not a bad week. Our Jerry Hunt Super Center showing that we're back in the 70s before you know it. 60s back again by Sunday and then closer to normal by about day 9, 10.
All right.
Join us streaming on WCNC Plus.
Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. If you saw social media at all over the weekend, or if you caught any news, you know it was a lot happening here in Charlotte over the last couple of days as immigration officers in town arresting more than 80 people. It's a complicated story. We're trying to get to all angles of it, and we'll be going through the impacts of what it means for possible operations. Today, a protest that we're learning about this morning, CMS even responding, because it really is impacting all sort of facets of our community. We're going to get to all of it throughout the morning here on WCNC Plus. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington, but we're going to start things off right now with a look at your forecast for this Monday and meteorologist Chris Mulcahy.
Thanks a lot. It's a beautiful start to the day. Check it out. All these sunrise cams almost looks like the same spot. This one's actually in Louisville, and this one is pointing towards the northeast here in Monroe. And then this is our WCNC tower camera. Sunrise time officially now for your November 17th, and it's a delightful start. There's that Monroe camera again in full view. So our sunrise time at 7:01. That brings us to right around that 40-degree point, and then we'll see temperatures starting to zoom up into the middle 60s for the afternoon. By the way, sunset time at 5:16. We're getting closer and closer to our earliest sunset time, which officially is at 5:10 for the first week of December. Over the next 36 hours, there's not a lot to point out. This is good news for us. That's going to keep things nice and sunny. We can thank that high pressure system. But eventually, we're going to have a front that passes. And this is a warm front. So that warm front eventually is going to lead to a much warmer environment starting on Wednesday and beyond. And we have some nearby rain, but I think primarily this is going to affect the mountains, and a lot of it's going to dissipate because it is way too dry. That's the big thing about that. But we are also super clear as well. So this is actually a process called radiational cooling. And simply put, what this does is this is going to maximize our cool down. It's high pressure, calm winds, and dry air. That allows that colder air to settle at the ground, because literally all the heat that we get during the daytime, it escapes the upper atmosphere. When you have a lot of clouds, it's like a blanket, so it's actually going to radiate the heat back down. Nope, it's all escaping tonight, and that's why likely we're dropping down to the mid to the upper 30s. A lot of us touching that freezing point, and then after that, much warmer temperatures throughout the 50s. Tomorrow, though, all right, we're heading the right direction. Temperatures back to the upper 60s, increasing clouds as that front is starting to arrive. And one of the things that we had earlier is our pick of the week looks to be Wednesday, because Wednesday I have a high of around 76 degrees, and that looks to be the warmest. Now, each of these days that are in the mid 70s are going to have a mix of cloud and sunshine. They'll be cloudier than others for certain hours, but this is still a nice little range considering that our average high for this time of the year, 62 degrees. And once we get another front to pass, then our next rain chance, by the way, is on Friday heading to Saturday. That's going to cool us down. So looking at the 10-day forecast, you can see we're in the mid to the upper 60s for another cool down back to the lower 60s. So a nice little trend. Enjoy the warmer temperatures while we have them. But coming up, I'm going to have a little bit more look at our upcoming rain chances, as well as the big weather story across the country, that atmospheric river. Let's get right over to Majestic for our first look here on WCNC Plus at your morning commute.
Good Monday morning, everyone. Let's start with this. One of our live cameras. This is I-77 at Westinghouse Boulevard. For that Monday morning commute, you can see lots of cars out on those roads, but no accidents out that direction. We have 4 active crashes, though. This one here is still not cleared. We've been following this now for about an hour. Out towards Beatty's Drive at I-85, that's exit 27 specifically. If you're coming in from York County, making that commute into Mecklenburg County, there's some of our cameras. Not seeing any problems. Everything that we would typically expect at this time of the day. It's 7:04 if you're getting ready to head out the door. Drive times this morning looking like this: from Belmont to Charlotte, right around 25 minutes. From Matthews to Charlotte, just over 20 minutes. And this crash is also not cleared. Left lane is currently blocked. That'll be on Brookshire Boulevard heading north at Idaho Drive. It is backed up to Beatty's Ford Road. Just off to the east is on Albemarle Road at I-485, exit 41. Seeing more of that red building, meaning that cars are at a stop and go. And then finally, University City Boulevard at Oakley Drive. Make sure you're mindful of all those things because it is a busy start to our Monday morning. Let's give you an update on what's going on along Independence. If you're coming in from, say, Matthews or Indian Trail, all looking okay. Minor delays, but no accidents, just more people all heading towards the uptown area. Independence looks fine, Central Ave looks fine, so does Monroe Road. Once we're heading north of uptown, this is out towards the lake from Mooresville to Cornelius. Minor delays right around Huntersville if you're heading inbound, but no crashes, just more people up and starting their Monday morning commute. Guys?
Well, this morning we are waiting to see if federal agents are going to be back out in certain Charlotte neighborhoods targeting folks in the country illegally. Here's what we know as of right now. The operations dubbed Charlotte's Web began Saturday. Since then, more than 80 people have been arrested and multiple businesses closed their doors to protect their employees, in some cases their customers as well. The arrest sparking multiple protests across the city. And already this morning, we know of a planned student walkout at East Mecklenburg High School. Later today, the group WCNC asking neighbors to attend Charlotte City Council meeting and call on council members to take action and do something. Our crews have seen agents throughout the city over the last couple of days, from a flower stand in Northeast Charlotte to outside churches and grocery stores in East Charlotte.
Several of these videos have been circulating online. In this particular video, witnesses say agents were trying to detain a teenager at a Pineville grocery store. You can also see those agents chasing a person in a parking lot. We told you on Saturday about Willie Istituno, who says that he is a U.S. citizen. However, agents still stopped him and questioned him about his legal status. As you can see, eventually smashing his window, then pulling him out of his truck. The Department of Homeland Security responded to that incident on social media on Sunday. DHS stating Istituno became erratic and refused lawful commands, leading to his removal from the truck. The statement also accuses him of trying to distract agents to help others get away.
Well, folks took their concerns to Charlotte's Department of Homeland Security office, where dozens of protesters came face to face with Border Patrol agents.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live this morning in East Charlotte to break down the aftermath and what those protesters are demanding. They're calling this a dangerous and an unnecessary operation. Richard.
Yeah, that is correct, Lisa. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ben. Good Monday morning, all on what has been a very turbulent weekend for a lot of folks who live throughout the Charlotte community, especially in parts like East Charlotte here. We're just yesterday, after what all happened on Saturday, we saw agents right here in this Walmart parking lot on Albemarle Road. That's why an organization said they got together and they said they want to take their complaints directly to those officers. That's why tensions ran high Sunday night outside Charlotte's Department of Homeland Security, where dozens of demonstrators gathered, standing just in front of those Border Patrol agents. They demanded an end to what they believe are dangerous and unnecessary immigration enforcement and tactics. They chanted through the day, calling for an end to local immigration enforcement. Echoed through the area, many demonstrators, they did use humor and visuals to show they weren't there to escalate tensions, but to stand with their friends and neighbors who feel vulnerable. Several protesters described growing fears within immigrant communities at a meeting last night, that fear that keeps people from running basic errands or getting food for their families. Others say they wanted to go out because they watched similar situations play out in other cities across the country. And they're also worried about what happens in Charlotte. One protester who was dressed in an inflatable costume meant to emphasize that this rally was peaceful. Protesters positioned themselves directly across from Homeland Security and Border Patrol agents, saying they were there to protect their community.
We saw it in Portland, we saw it in Los Angeles, we saw it in Chicago, and unfortunately it's here now.
My friend was too scared to go to Walmart for baby food. I really just want to help the people who are being wrongfully detained, and I want people to feel safe in their neighborhood and feel safe to go get their children food, to get themselves food, to go to their job and not risk being deported.
A lot of folks say that they are just making these protests to allow their neighbors, their friends to feel safe as they go about their business right here in the Charlotte community. This protest, or these raids, I could say, could last for up to 2 weeks. We're right here in East Charlotte, guys. We'll send it back to you.
And Richard, I want to sort of sum up what sort of the crux of the issue is here, because Homeland Security says they're targeting folks with a lengthy criminal past and things like that. But city leaders and some of the protesters who we're talking to are saying it's going way beyond that. And there's innocent people who are in the country legally that are being part of this operation.
Yeah, that's correct. Just looking at some texts I got from some folks who actually told me about what was going on here yesterday at Walmart, saying they're harassing just everyday shoppers, people who look Spanish, people who look like they're Latino, and that is wrong, according to one person who texted me. Another person said, it's here in Charlotte. It's happening here in Charlotte. I don't believe this. This is what people are dealing with.
All right. Richard Devane summing up the situation there.
Thank you,
In
Richard.
Charlotte. Richard, thank you. We should say we are expecting more protests around town this week. On Saturday, First Ward Park became a gathering point for protesters here. Families, organizers, longtime activists, all saying the same thing. They're worried about what these new Border Patrol operations could mean for their friends and their neighbors. However, they believe the public can make a difference.
It's not a coincidence that Border Patrol was forced out of Chicago. It was through a mass movement of people demanding that they leave, and so that is what we're doing here today.
Community groups say today only the beginning, as in Saturday, with more protests, legal resources, and Know Your Rights events planned throughout this week.
Many families are going into the new school week on edge. CMS sharing a message over the weekend. It reads, the district has not received any notice of planned CBP's activity on school campuses. Therefore, classes will go on as planned. If your child will be absent today, you should notify the school so they can get help staying on track. Many immigrants are wondering what they can do. According to NC Local, if you are a documented immigrant, always make sure that your paperwork is in order. Non-citizens are required to carry identification showing legal residence in the United States. Immigration enforcement may ask to see those documents. Now, you are not required to answer any questions, and North Carolina does not have a law that requires you to identify yourself.
7-11 right now on WCNC Plus, and Thanksgiving travelers just got an early gift. The FAA lifting a nationwide reduction in flights just in the last hour or so. Up next, how the move could ease congestion at dozens of airports, including Charlotte Douglas. .14 right now on WCNC Plus, and we continue to follow the latest developments this morning in Border Patrol operations here in Charlotte. Federal officials say they've made dozens of arrests in what they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web, a new immigration enforcement crackdown.
NBC's Ryan Chandler has more on the operation and the response from community members.
Tension mounting in Charlotte as Border Patrol surges in. Residents shouting down federal agents. Other voices kept to a whisper as officers led two handcuffed men out of an apartment complex and into an unmarked van. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino says agents arrested 81 people in about 5 hours Saturday, part of what they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web. At Spanish Mass this morning, Pastor Alejandro Montes told us hundreds in his congregation chose to stay home. Their services half empty. What are you hearing from your community today?
Well, I know we have been receiving a lot of text messages and talking with people. There's a lot of people in fears right now. They're scared about to go out and because the situation right now. And yeah, it has been tough. It has been rough this weekend.
Bovino says some of the dozens arrested include violent criminals, convicted drunk drivers, and people with removal orders. City statistics show crime has fallen in Charlotte this year. Violent crime down 20% across the board. Charlotte leaders say they have public safety handled.
What we hope is that the Border Patrol will see that the city of Charlotte is a safe city. There's nothing to see here. There's no reason to be here.
Urging calm and peaceful protest, with no indication of how long Operation Charlotte's Web will last.
Ryan Chandler reporting for us there. Right now, we're working to learn more about what led up to a shooting in West Charlotte. It happened early this morning around 3 a.m. on Queen City Drive near Mulberry Church Road. Medic confirmed on one person was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. No other details have been released.
7:16 now. Several investigations underway following several shootings on Sunday. Medic telling us one person was critically hurt after being shot on Golden Eye Drive in North Charlotte, and 2 people rushed to the hospital after a shooting on South Summit Avenue. That's just west of Uptown. CMPD has not shared any further details.
Thanksgiving now just 10 days away, and travelers already have a reason to be thankful. The FAA ending its flight cuts this morning just about an hour ago at 6 a.m. And at this hour, there's only 1 cancellation and 7 delays at Charlotte Douglas. Amy Kiley tells us they affected at least 4% of air traffic at 40 major airports.
I think we're going to have a smooth, hopefully, Thanksgiving travel season.
Airlines are resuming their normal schedules in the U.S. today. The FAA says it's lifting flight restrictions that affected 40 major airports during the government shutdown. A joint statement from that agency and the Transportation Secretary cites, quote, safety trends and the steady decline of staffing trigger events in air traffic control facilities.
It does appear that air traffic controllers are working. The call-outs are minimal, and they're all getting bonuses now if they came to work. So I think the morale there is up, as well as the TSA.
Union leaders say it was hard for air traffic controllers to work full-time without pay during the shutdown.
The stresses, the pressure, the fatigue is setting in. Air traffic controllers are texting, I don't even have enough money to put gas in my car to come to work.
The news might be a relief for people flying over Thanksgiving weekend. That's the busiest air travel period of the year, according to TSA data. Experts say passengers should still check airline apps for delays or cancellations, but for more typical reasons.
I think the things we should be looking out for are weather-related incidents that could kind of throw the system out of whack or outages. But overall, I think things are looking good.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Heavy rain is pounding Southern California and the West Coast, bracing for even more. We're going to show you the impacts.
And folks, a reminder, Brad Panovich is going to have his annual winter weather forecast coming up tomorrow on WCNC Plus. Tune in at 6:30 to see what kind of winter we're facing. 7:21 right now on WCNC Plus. Record rainfall drenching Southern California, triggering flash flooding and road slides on roads and landslides.
That's right. Just yesterday, downtown LA received more than 2.5 inches of rain in just 48 hours. The residents have been left with a number of road closures. Those are going to stay in place until that storm ends and crews are able to clean the streets. Now, more storms are in the forecast for later in the week.
Let's go ahead and bring in Chris with more. Chris.
Hey, thanks a lot. I want to show you exactly what's happening with this atmospheric river event. So let's start over here in California. This is a little spiraling low that we're looking at, but really the bigger term for this is atmospheric river. So oftentimes, I was just talking to Majestic about this, who grew up in the Washington area. The Pacific Coast is really known for getting these atmospheric river events all the time, and they're dealing with one right now where truly California has a lot of dry months, and then when they have these little trends, that's where they get a majority of the rain for the year, and that's precisely what we're going to see here. Just widespread rain across the board happening right around San Francisco, and this now is starting to feed in just north of the LA area and around Santa Monica as well, as where we saw a lot of situations. But looking at the bigger scope, check it out. You can actually see where that moisture is coming from, and it's that area of white. So you see, follow that water vapor imagery. What happens in these type of situations, you have a lot of tropical moisture that's in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean here, and it's about a 250 to 500 mile transport that takes all that moisture and drives it directly into California or the West Coast in general. And it can carry it up for thousands and thousands of miles. And especially here in California, it can also ride it up along the mountains that condenses it into a lot more rain and snow. And that's exactly what is happening here. Meanwhile, we're the opposite around the Charlotte area. We have completely dry air, where it's almost like a wintertime dry air, even though temperatures getting up still the mid 60s to the mid 70s. But that's going to change. Once you get to Wednesday, even though it's not a lot, we're still going to have a wetter environment, some extra moisture that's going to allow for some more clouds to move through, but it's not going to make it feel as bone dry as what's happening here for the short term. And that moisture sticking around heading for the weekend before we will have yet again another drier trend. So if you have any static electricity where you shock yourself in the doorknob or some drier skin today, now you know the whole reason why. Current conditions right now across the area, depends where you are. We're 32 degrees around Morganton. We have 43 right around Charlotte, feeling like 39, and 36 under a calm wind right around Lancaster. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about our upcoming rain chances over the next half hour. I'll start with that, but first let's get right over to Majestic, see how our morning commute's looking.
Good Monday morning, everyone. Area roadways, they're looking all right. Everything that we would expect at this time of the day. It's a busy Monday morning commute. Hopefully you had a great weekend. This is I-77 at Westinghouse Boulevard. Maybe you're waking up, heading off to work, getting those kids up and at them ready for the school day. We do have our typical delays on parts of I-77, I-85. We now do have a new crash, though. It's going to be right here on Johnston Road. We're seeing a lot of red there, meaning that cars are at a stop and go, or we're just moving rather slowly. And then I wanted to zoom it out just a bit, showing you what's going on in York County from Rock Hill to Fort Mill. You're looking all right, mainly green up until you get into Mecklenburg County. That's when it will get a little bit slower on I-77. If you're going to be traveling right around 277, right around Uptown, we have mainly green there as traffic continues to flow nice and smooth. But this remains. This is a lane that's blocked because of a crash. It's on Brookshire Freeway. Northbound lanes being impacted there right after Beatty's Ford Road. Guys.
Well, hello there. Hopefully your Monday is going swimmingly so far. Check it out. We are swimming in some blue skies right now. Lower to the mid-60s will be our high temperature today throughout the afternoon. Lower to the mid-60s, back down to the mid-40s by about 11 p.m. Looking at the next 10 days, we have a nice little climb back to the middle 70s right here on Wednesday and Thursday, eventually coming back down to the stark reality of the 60s. But all in all, the next 7 to 10 days trending above normal. We will have a chilly start down to 39 degrees tomorrow, but then after that, mainly rocking the 50s. As far as our next rain chances go, don't worry about the next few days. We'll have a little ramp up on Friday night into Saturday, and again Sunday night heading into Monday. But the next few looking great and holding on to those sunny skies. Majestic, take it away. What's going on this morning?
Good morning, everyone. We're off to our Monday morning, and area roadways are becoming a little bit more busy. That's Westinghouse Boulevard as people are heading out the door, maybe off to work or getting those kiddos off to the school today. You can see we do have still this crash here that does have some red with it. It's going to be right there on Johnston Road, right next to Lancaster Highway. Watch for that, as there is likely going to be some delays associated with that crash. I-77 out towards Fort Mill continues to look all right. 277 if you're traveling right around uptown. We do have mainly great. We'll have more on WCNC Plus.
You are streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. This morning, we're waiting to see if federal agents will be back out in Charlotte neighborhoods targeting people in the country illegally.
Now, here's what we know right now. The operations, dubbed Charlotte's Web, it began on Saturday. We know that more than 80 people have been arrested. Multiple businesses are now closing their doors because they want to protect both their employees and their customers. Those arrests, though, sparking multiple protests across the city. Already this morning, we know of a planned student walkout at East Mecklenburg High School. And later today, the group Action NC is asking residents to attend the Charlotte City Council meeting tonight and to call on the council members to take action.
As we mentioned, with immigrant communities on edge, some businesses are shutting down. That includes a popular Charlotte bakery that's been around for 3 decades. The owner of Manolo's Bakery says he doesn't want his customers to be targeted simply trying to visit his store to buy some bread. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live in East Charlotte with more on that difficult decision. Destiny.
Yeah, the owner says that this isn't something that he wanted to do, but he made this decision because he saw Border Patrol agents stop rather aggressively some people just a few feet from the front entrance of his bakery. Now, Manolo's Bakery is a longtime staple on Central Avenue, a gathering place for families and workers for nearly 3 decades. But this week, the doors will not open. The owner, Manolo Bancor, says he decided to close after watching several people be stopped and pushed to the ground outside without questions and without warnings. Bancor says this is the first time in 28 years that he drove down this street and saw every business near him closed out of fear. He says he'll reopen only when he feels his customers can safely walk to his counter.
They didn't approach them. They didn't even ask them, what's your status? And I don't want to blame myself, knowing that maybe a kid lost her father or their mother because wasn't his way to buy bread at the bakery.
The community has responded with love, covering his storefront with handwritten notes and drawings of support. And even though the doors remain closed, he says the outpouring of support is what's keeping him going. And like other businesses, even in this area, that have closed in response to these Border Patrol operations, he doesn't know when he'll reopen, but says protecting people is more important than any profit. I'll send it back to you guys live here in East Charlotte.
All right, Destiny Richards reporting live for us. Destiny, thanks.
Thanks, Destiny.
And Manolo is not the only one. We're learning from more businesses closing their doors in response. Last night, El Atardecer, it's a restaurant in Indian Trail, posted a message on social media saying they're closing for the safety of their customers. And faith leaders also sharing their concerns about customs and border protection operations. We caught up with leaders at Camino Church, an organization that supports Charlotte's Latino community. While the pastor tells us they support the efforts to get criminals off the streets, like most folks do, he says this weekend's actions have been concerning.
The promise of Border Patrol coming into our community to get out the violent criminals. The community I serve, we're all for that, right? Because many times they're victims of those crimes. But what we're seeing is that campaign of law and justice has turned into a campaign of terror for our community.
Now, ever since those reports of Border Patrol coming to the city began, we've been hearing from local and from state leaders, and that's only increased since the enforcement started. In a newly released video, North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein criticized CBP's tactics, saying in part officers are racially profiling citizens.
To the CBP, if you know that we have violent criminals in Charlotte who are undocumented, we want them out too. Everyone wants to be safe in their communities. But the actions of too many federal agents are doing the exact opposite in Charlotte. We've seen masked, heavily armed agents in paramilitary garb driving unmarked cars, targeting American citizens based on their skin color, racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots and off of our sidewalks.
Mecklenburg County Republican Party Chairman Kyle Kirby shared his views here on WCNC Plus, suggesting this could have been avoided with stricter law enforcement from local officials.
Well, I wonder if our local government elected officials had been stronger on public safety in Charlotte, would Charlotte have taken a center point in the idea that immigration enforcement and Border Patrol needs to come here in the first place? So I've got to question whether or not, if we were more serious about safety for Charlotteans, would we be in the limelight of federal enforcement of Border Patrol and immigration tactics.
Moving on to our rain chances, I said I was going to start off with this. Our rainfall chances are very low over the next 4 days or so. There's an outside chance, by the way, if you're watching from the high country, that you could have some on Tuesday night to Wednesday. But the rest of the area, dry pretty much until Friday night. I think it's Friday night to Saturday morning looks to be the wettest, and after that, very isolated rain chances. Truly, it's going to take a big-time weather system to overcome the dry air that we have in place, not just from what the atmosphere has been giving us, but because of the lack of what's called transpiration. That's the evaporation from plants, especially as things are starting to kind of go dormant or dying off for the season. Here's a look at the next 7 days for rain. Not a lot, unless you're talking about the I-40 corridor up in the foothills and right around the Tennessee border in the high country. We don't really have a lot of rain that is programmed over the next 7 days. So yes, we are looking at a rain chance come around Saturday. I don't think a lot really comes from it overall. So moving right along to our long range futurecast. You can see that we do have a little bit of that disturbance. It's on Tuesday night, heading into Wednesday morning that I was mentioning. There's so much dry air in place. It's really going to be tough to try to overcome that. But then here's that second chance for rain. You're seeing a little bit of activity starting to move in on Friday morning for the high country. We take a little bit of break, hold more clouds there, but then watch. This is Friday evening around 10 p.m. You're starting to see things starting to slide from the west to the east, but a lot of it breaks up yet again. But don't be surprised if you do have some rain kicking off your Saturday. There's a lot of events going on this coming weekend as we're getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving. And that rain should be out of there by your Saturday afternoon. Other than that, we're heading into another drying trend, and then you have another big time weather system that arrives by about day 10 to 11 of the forecast. Meanwhile, our futurecast over the next few days, whole lot of nothing. Yes, you can see the clock moving in the upper right. A few clouds could join us by the end of the day, but then heading into your Tuesday, a whole lot of nothing. So there's not really a lot to report as far as all that's concerned. But meanwhile, I brought up drier air. And that dry air is astronomically dry for this time of the season. We hover these dew points all the time during the winter time because our average low during the dead of winter is 32 degrees. So typically that's going to bring some dew points in the teens and the 20s. The reason why I bring this up is today is a day that might separate from the rest, that you might have drier skin than normal. I can say that while I'm doing this, my hands are drier than they were, say, a couple of days ago. So very dry skin, maybe you want to use some lotion, especially if you're prone to that. And any dew point below 30 is dry. When it's around 20, it's very dry. So that means more static electricity, more zaps, more static cling. That's going to be in the forecast for today. And relative humidity values already isolated down to 30%. That's also a very high fire danger. The winds are much, much lighter than where we were yesterday, so it's not technically as high of a burn risk, but we're still seeing a lot of maps that look a lot like this, showing that there is a very high fire danger for us here in the greater Charlotte area and then also up to the mountains. I think especially the Western Carolinas with the slightly higher wind today are going to be a little bit more active with this. Same thing goes for your Tuesday. Tuesday also under a very high risk, and then all this drops off to a moderate criteria as we start to inject more moisture back in the atmosphere. Meanwhile, over the next 36 hours, there's not really a lot to show you. It's just that really long-range rain chance that I was pointing out. But look where we've been. This has been pretty crazy. Yesterday was one of the best days that we've ever had here in November. High of 79 degrees. That officially would be the third hottest temperature that we've had for November 16th. And today, 66 is going to be a big shock now to the system. Thank goodness we have some sunshine. But look where we're going. We're wasting no time getting right back to the 70s. We're close enough to that on tomorrow for your Tuesday, and then we have the mid-70s for your Wednesday and Thursday, so not a bad looking forecast. So let's get right to it. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast now actively loading. There it is. 76, 75, 74, 73. So a gradual stair climb down, and that will lead us into the weekend. Next best chance for rain, as I was pointing out, is Friday and Saturday morning. Then after that, you have a very isolated rain chance for your Sunday. At that point, temperatures back in the 60s, even the lower 60s by about day 10 of the forecast. But the next 7 that you're specifically seeing here, each and every high is above normal. The only average low that we have is tomorrow morning when we drop down to 39 degrees. Majestic, what's going on?
It's a beautiful start to our new work week, and those roads are getting busy. This is I-77, mainly our South Carolina cameras right there coming in from York County. Grab a sweatshirt, grab some sunglasses, and call it a Monday morning. We do still have a few accidents to let you know about. This one here, we're really starting to see those delays build. This is right here on Johnston Road, right next to the Lancaster Highway. So right where they meet there, you can see that's mainly going to be northbound lanes. Keep that one in mind because of the stop and go conditions. If you're taking I-77 from York County, from Fort Mill, all the way into Mecklenburg County, you don't have any big problems at this time, at least nothing too out of the ordinary. This is a newer crash. It's near Uptown. It's going to be on Remount Road at Watson Drive, seeing mainly green with it. We'll see if those delays start to build fast or if they can move it relatively quickly. But this one's going to be east of Uptown. It's on University City Boulevard. There's a crash there at Oak Lee Drive where we do have some colors showing, so cars are moving a little slowly because of that active crash. Those are a few things that I'm watching for you right now. We'll have another check on those roads coming up here in just a few.
Majestic things. President Trump reversing course, now urging House Republicans to vote to release the Epstein files. Ahead, when that vote might happen and what the survivors are urging ahead of the vote.
A bright 11-year-old with an infectious smile who disappeared after getting off her school bus in Cornelius in 2022.
From November the 22nd to December the 15th, 23 days went by where he didn't know the location of Madalena Coach Car.
Conflicting stories from her mother and stepfather, a boarded up bedroom, fires in the backyard of her home, secret recordings, and trips out of state.
Bottom line is she's a suspect in the disappearance of her own daughter.
Everyone's still asking, where is Madalena?
Our goal is to find Madalena, and we're not going to stop until we do.
The Search for Madalena, streaming on WCNC+. Download on your TV and watch for free.
.744 right now on your Monday morning, and we are continuing our coverage with the Border Patrol operations. Federal officials say they made more than 80 arrests over the weekend here in Charlotte. We spoke with a lot of neighbors, many voicing their concerns and strong opposition to the federal agents. One person said she and her friends have been tracking Border Patrol activity in East Charlotte since Saturday.
We're looking for them everywhere, warning people that ICE was in the neighborhood and everything. And we were just following them all the way from where Speedway is in University. And we came across this stand and just saw all these people gathered up, ICE trucks everywhere.
Sector Commander Greg Bavino posted on social media highlighting several arrests and noting that each of the individuals taken into custody has a criminal history.
Meanwhile, we are hearing from witnesses of a Border Patrol operation in East Charlotte. Now, these are people who say they were stunned by what they saw as Border Patrol pulled a man from a car in front of his family.
They were treating him like less than an animal, like, you know, because you would treat a dog with more, you know, compassion than that, even one that's acting aggressively. But this guy was acting very calm. He's a human.
In response, many folks didn't even want to leave their homes. Local businesses like Compare Foods are helping families to maintain a peaceful shopping experience. They're offering free grocery deliveries through the end of the year. Also, Wow Supermarket on South Boulevard also temporarily offering delivery and pickup service for anyone in the area who needs it. All you have to do is call that number on your screen. The delivery is available from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. during the week. Again, that's Wow Supermarket, just one of several businesses business is doing its part to help the customers during this time because they say they want to keep both their customers and their employees safe.
President Trump now calling on House Republicans to release the files on the notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, writing, quote, "We have nothing to hide," after previously dismissing the push as a hoax by Democrats.
NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
As the House prepares for a vote this week aimed at forcing the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, President Trump changing course overnight, posting Republicans should vote to release the files because we have nothing to hide. The president has long opposed the push that he's called a hoax by Democrats.
They're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party.
While also condemning Republicans who back the bill, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a longtime ally. She says she's faced threats after his recent criticism.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
The president, who was once friends with Epstein, denies any wrongdoing and has never been charged in connection with Epstein's sex trafficking crimes, now saying he does not care about the files' release and wants Republicans to get back on point, as the Republican and Democrat leading the charge in the House reject claims of partisanship and predict the vote will pass in a landslide.
I think we could have a deluge of Republicans. What we're asking for is justice for those survivors. So it's not about Donald Trump.
Survivors of Epstein's abuse preparing to rally at the Capitol this week, urging lawmakers to remember their stories.
I would say, please remember that these are crimes that were committed against real humans.
Pushing to move past politics to accountability. President Trump has now directed the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's relationship with several prominent Democrats mentioned in a trove of emails a House committee released last week that also referenced the president, including one from Epstein saying that he, quote, knew about the girls. The White House denies it, stressing the convicted sex offender was a known liar. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, folks, get ready. It's about that time of year. Brad Panovich is going to have his annual winter weather forecast. It's coming up tomorrow right here on WCNC Plus. We wait for it every single year. Tune in tomorrow at 6:30 to find out what kind of winter is headed our way.
welcome back, everybody. The sun already rose up. That officially was at 7:01. We'll do it again at 7:02 tomorrow. Beautiful blue skies is what we have going on across the area. This is going to be a spectacular November 17th as we're heading into the back end of November. Boy, did we start the second half warm. Yesterday was a high of 79 degrees. So what you need this morning, the long sleeves, pants, rain jacket not needed. Don't know how that snuck in there. But all in all, you might need the lighter rain jacket all in all. Our cooler and drier forecast is really what we're looking at for today. And dry is one thing we're going to bring up because we're going to have the lowest relative humidity values today compared to the next 7 days. And it does get a little bit breezier, still mild by tomorrow. And then we're back in the mid 70s by Wednesday. So a nice little trend. So looking at some of our wind gusts, we're so dry right now if you are doing any control burns that it's just a hazard. And especially when you have some gusts getting up to about 15 to 20 miles per hour, that's going to be problematic. And then by tomorrow, I think it's going to be even a breezier day. Seeing those winds starting to ramp up. But this time, winds out of the south and southwest. That's going to allow our warm up to really officially be triggered. And that's where you're going to see some gusts maybe up to about 20 miles per hour. Just keep that in mind. And eventually, we're going to have a warm front that moves through. And it's this warm front that's going to be our saving grace. Once that arrives really on Tuesday heading into Wednesday, that's going to allow temperatures to get back into the 70s Wednesday through Saturday. So enjoy that warmer trend. Really, the next 7 will be above normal. Majestic, take it away. What's going on for our morning commute?
It's beautiful out there, but it is definitely busy as we're heading into now 7:52. Our exact time, getting close to that 8 o'clock hour. Roads are still nice and dry for you, of course, but they're just jam-packed with a lot of people all heading out for their Monday morning commute. Let's break down a few of the active crashes that I do have my eyes on. This one here, well south of Charlotte, but it's still pulling up a lot of red and orange, meaning that cars are moving rather slowly. That's on Johnston Road, very close to Lancaster Highway there. Again, northbound lanes being impacted. Wanted to zoom it on out, giving you some updates on what I'm seeing on I-77. Now, if you're in York County, it should be okay for the most part from Rock Hill to Fort Mill. Once you head into Mecklenburg County, just past 485, that's where you will start to see some of those delays. Looks like we do still have this ongoing crash. It has not been cleared yet. However, still seeing a lot of green with it. Remount Road, if you take this road, watch for it. It's at Watson Drive. We'll have another update on those area roadways coming up here in just a few minutes. Larry.
It's Monday time for Carolina Trivia. We go all the way back to the 1700s. And the trivia is this: America's very first and oldest museum is right there in Charleston, South Carolina. The first museum founded in 1773 by the Charleston Library Society. And this is how it looked as you go back in time. That's the skeleton of a right whale in the background there. And the oldest memorabilia that's found there today goes all the way back to 1798. It's actually a list of the items that were there at the museum at that time. In fact, one of those was the egg of an ostrich. Today's Carolina Trivia, all about the Charleston Museum, which is open today. Check it out in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
The highly anticipated Wicked for Good hits theaters this Friday. The film stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo in the second chapter of the beloved story. Originally called Part 2, the sequel was renamed to give audiences a title with deeper meaning. Now, this new installment explores the witch's origins and odds, setting the stage for the classic tale, The Wizard of Oz.
I didn't get through the first movie.
Did you not? It's quite lengthy.
Don't feel bad.
The stage show's fantastic. I mean,
yes.
But I need to.
You still have some time. In fact, here on NBC, I think Wednesday. They didn't even ask me to promote that, but we're showing.
Oh,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Admittedly, because just having a kid, sometimes you have to stop the movie and then revisit it weeks later.
Right.
That's what happened with us. The first hour, I feel, moves snail's pace compared to the last half.
The last hour definitely moves faster. See, you guys don't have a 12-year-old daughter, so you don't have to see it.
I think I got stuck within the first hour, so I didn't get through that. So I just need to keep going.
Keep getting through that, and then it picks up.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. There's a certain point that you're like, oh, here it comes. So just letting you know, definitely finish it.
All right. We need to take a quick break. We'll make sure that you keep it right here on WCNC. Plus, enough talk about Wicked. We're going to come back with the day's top headlines streaming at the top of the hour.
Welcome, everybody. Check this out. Beautiful blue skies wherever you look across the area. Today's going to be a spectacular one. Yesterday, though, was exemplary because we had 79 degrees for a high. So today will be 10 to 15 degrees warmer across the area, but still no complaints. Still an above average one, looking great. Temperatures back to the mid 40s by the conclusion of your Monday. Overnight tonight, this will be the chilliest low that we have over the next 7 days. After that, we're actually experiencing more of the 50s compared to either side of 40 where we should be this time of the year. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast shows an amazing warm up. Yes, it's not near 80, but hey, close enough. We have the mid 70s Wednesday and Thursday, a little bit cooler on Friday into Saturday. Next best chance for rain Friday night and Saturday morning. Majestic, what do people need to know about your morning commute?
Well, grab your sunglasses, your light jacket as you're heading out the door. It's a beautiful but rather cooler start to the day. There's some of those drive times. If you're coming in from Waxhaw to Charlotte, it'll take you right around 40 minutes. If you're coming in from York County in South Carolina, good morning. Here's some of our roads this morning. Nothing too out of the ordinary, so we will take that. We do still have a few accidents to let you know about. I-77 northbound, we have delays but no crashes. The crash right here is on Woodlawn Road.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
Let's bring you up to speed with what we know on the ongoing Border Patrol operations unfolding here in Charlotte over the last few days. No doubt you probably saw it either on the news here on WCNC Charlotte or on your social media feed. The operation dubbed Charlotte's Web began Saturday. Federal officials say they made more than 80 arrests over the weekend and described many of them as having significant criminal and immigration history. Those arrests sparking protests across the city, and we're expecting more demonstrations in the following days. Already this morning, we know of a planned student walkout at East Mecklenburg High School. And later today, Action NC, it's a group here, is asking residents to attend Charlotte City Council meeting and call on council members to take action. Our crews have seen agents throughout the city, from a flower stand in Northeast Charlotte to outside churches and grocery stores in East Charlotte.
Now, several of these videos have been circulating online, and this particular video, witnesses say agents were trying to detain a teenager at a Pineville grocery store. You can also see those agents chasing another person in a parking lot. We reported on Saturday about Willie Acetuno, who says that he is a U.S. citizen. However, agents still stopped him and questioned him about his legal status. You can see eventually smashing his window and pulling him out of his truck. Now, the Department of Homeland Security responded to that last incident on social media yesterday. DHS stated Acetuno became erratic and refused lawful commands, leading to his removal from the truck. The statement also accuses him of trying to distract agents to help others get away.
NBC's Ryan Chandler tells us more about these arrests and the response from community members.
Tension mounting in Charlotte as Border Patrol surges in. Residents shouting down federal agents. Other voices kept to a whisper as officers led two handcuffed men out of an apartment complex and into an unmarked van. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says agents arrested 81 people in about 5 hours Saturday, part of what they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web. At Spanish Mass this morning, Pastor Alejandro Montes told us hundreds in his congregation chose to stay home. Their services half empty. What are you hearing from your community today?
Well, I know we have been receiving a lot of text messages and talking with people. There's a lot of people in fears right now. They're scared about to go out and because the situation right now. And yeah, it has been tough. It has been rough this weekend.
Bovino says some of the dozens arrested include violent criminals, convicted drunk drivers, and people with removal orders. City statistics show crime has fallen in Charlotte this year. Violent crime down 20% across the board. Charlotte leaders say they have public safety handled.
What we hope is that the Border Patrol will see that the city of Charlotte is a safe city. There's nothing to see here. There's no reason to be here.
Urging calm and peaceful protest with no indication of how long Operation Charlotte's Web will last.
Ryan Chandler reporting for us there. The recent events have caused tensions to rise, as you can imagine. Folks took their concerns to Charlotte's Department of Homeland Security office, where dozens of protesters came face to face with Border Patrol agents.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live for us this morning. He is in East Charlotte to break down the aftermath of those protesters' demands to end what they are calling a dangerous and an unnecessary operation. Richard.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Lisa. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ben. Good Monday morning, everyone. As you heard in that last story, folks were staying away. A local grocery store in this area, I just heard from one of the workers there, they actually didn't schedule a number of folks who they were worried about being harassed. The Walmart right behind me was the scene yesterday morning of ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, if you will, coming out here to talk to folks. One person telling me that they were just harassing everyday shoppers. Now, as we look at video, that's the reason why tensions were high Sunday night outside Charlotte's Department of Homeland Security office, where dozens of demonstrators gathered, standing just in front of those Border Patrol agents, demanding an end to what they say were dangerous and unnecessary immigration enforcement tactics. They chanted throughout the evening for a call to an end to local immigration enforcement. They say that they used humor as well as visuals to show they weren't there to escalate tensions, but to stand with those friends and neighbors who they say feel at risk. Several protesters described growing fear within immigrant communities, fear that keeps people from running basic errands or getting food for their families. They held a meeting last night where they came out because they say they watched similar situations play out in other cities across the country and worry that Charlotte is now going through the same thing. One protester who was dressed in an inflatable costume meant to emphasize that this rally was a peaceful protest, positioned themselves directly across from Homeland Security and Border Patrol agents, saying they were there simply to protect their community.
We saw it in Portland, we saw it in Los Angeles, we saw it in Chicago, and unfortunately it's here now.
My friend was too scared to go to Walmart for baby food. I really just want to help the people who are being wrongfully detained, and I want people to feel safe in their neighborhood and feel safe to go get their children food, to get themselves food, to go to their job and not risk being deported.
And a lot of those folks there that we spoke with say this is just about keeping their neighbors and their friends to feel safe in their communities. We've been up and down this area. I'm sure that if it's just like this particular shopping center where we haven't seen as much activity as we'd expect on a Monday morning, that could be the same, especially in this part of East Charlotte. And that's where we are. This is Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
And you just have to imagine the fear among some people there. So that's probably why we aren't seeing as much activity.
That's right. All right, Richard Devane reporting live for us. Richard, thank you. We should say we are expecting more protests around town today and this week, similar to the ones we saw over the weekend. First Ward Park became a gathering point for protesters in Charlotte. Families, organizers, longtime activists, all saying the same thing. They're worried about what these new Border Patrol operations could mean for their friends and neighbors. However, they believe the public can make a difference.
It's not a coincidence that Border Patrol was forced out of Chicago. It was through a mass movement of people demanding that they leave, and so that is what we're doing here today.
Community groups say today was only the beginning, with more protests, legal resources, and Know Your Rights events planned throughout this week.
Many families are going into the new school week on edge. CMS shared a message over the weekend. It reads in part, the district has not received any notice of planned CBP activity on school campuses. Therefore, classes will go on as planned. If your child will be absent today, you should notify the school so they can get help staying on track. And many immigrants are wondering what they can do. According to NC Local, if you are a documented immigrant, always make sure that your paperwork is in order. Non-citizens are required to carry identification showing legal residence in the United States. Immigration enforcement may ask to see those documents. Now, you are not required to answer questions, and North Carolina does not have a law requiring you to identify yourself. All right, let's check back in with Chris now to get an update on our forecast for this Monday.
It was amazing yesterday. Not to live in the past, I will have your forecast, but I want to show you what was happening yesterday from midnight to midnight. At midnight, it was 63 degrees here in Charlotte. We dropped to either side of 60 degrees. Most of us started off in the lower 60s. Then we ramped things up to about 79. Started cooling down a little bit earlier, where we technically had our high temperature in the earlier afternoon. And then eventually we dropped down to our low around midnight. So yeah, it's not always that we hit our morning low or have a morning low. Sometimes, depending if you have a passing front, a cool front that's going to move through, or a cold front in this case, that's going to allow you to usually hit your low temperature for the last minutes of the day. And that's exactly what happened. So today is a cooler day overall. That's the word of the day. 66 degrees compared to 79. So we're talking about a 10 to 15 degree downgrade. This morning when I was showing you the temperature differential for 24 hours ago, it was crazy. Morganton, at one point, you were 31 degrees colder than the day before. Just at least our highs are a little bit closer to the normal now. Instead of 62, we have 66, so a slightly above normal day. Winds occasionally could gust to about 15 miles per hour, but much lighter than yesterday as well. So 79, it was nice to have you. 66 degrees, still not a bad consolation prize. Elsewhere, we'll be a little bit cooler to the north, as we typically see. Salisbury, you're at 63. Same thing in Hickory. 65 for you in Morganton. Lower 50s up in the mountains. Winds out of the northwest for now, but eventually the shifting out of the south and southwest. That's going to allow a nice little warm up. So right now, looking gorgeous. Clear skies, which, by the way, isn't the best at night. It's called radiational cooling. That's when you have that drier air, calm winds, and a clear sky, most likely from a high pressure system. That allows all that heat from the ground to escape. Everything that we did during the afternoon to warm things up, it quickly moves into the upper atmosphere, and that allows that colder air to settle at the ground. It's also this type of scenario where you have a light wind and a clear sky that supports some frost. So yes, I think it is going to be frosty for a lot of us starting off tomorrow morning. A low of 39 is just outside of that cusp, but then some of the valley areas, especially like around Lincolnton, say a little bit closer to Albemarle down to Wadesboro, I think you do hit that freezing point. Same thing for you in Salisbury. So some pretty thick frost possible in the windshield. Of course, when that sun rises up, don't worry about it. Now, tomorrow's forecast, a little bit warmer. The only difference is also we're adding more clouds to the equation. So a colder start, technically a warmer afternoon with highs reaching the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. And the pick of the week, I'm making it Wednesday. Wednesday, Cloudier than today, but high around 76, and then each day gets a little bit cooler after that. And in the near term, we don't really have too much going on, just a passing high pressure system that slowly starts to move out. So coming up over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be showing you a closer look at all your rain chances, how the winds have changed or changing this week, and also that 7 to 10 day forecast. But first, let's go to Majestic, see our morning commute's faring.
Good Monday morning, everyone. It's beautiful outside. This is I-77 over by John Belk. You can see it here. Area roadways, they're flowing, but they are definitely busy as people are heading out the door for their Monday morning. It's 8:11 right now if you are gearing up to do the same. Here's some of our drive times as of now. If you're coming in from Waxhaw into Charlotte, it's going to take you just under 40 minutes to do so. From Belmont into Charlotte, right around 25 minutes. We do have our typical delays. You can see I-77 once you get into Mecklenburg County. It is slow, but notice no wrecks there on I-77. The wreck is just off to the east of it where one lane is currently blocked because of that crash. It's on South Boulevard, impacting both directions at Woodlawn Road. That's where it will slow you down just a few minutes for that morning commute because one lane is currently blocked. And if you're making that morning commute in from Independence, you know how it goes. We do have that red and that orange just indicating stop and go traffic. No crash there, just a lot of people heading towards Uptown. And then finally, this is south of Charlotte as well, south of 485. It's going to be right there on Johnston Road where we have a crash right near Lancaster Highway. You can see where they merge together. That's where we do have some minor delays. Those are a few things that I'm watching for you this morning. We'll have another update coming up here soon. Guys.
8:12 after the break, the FAA ended its flight cuts this morning. We'll have the latest on just how many delays and cancellations are still happening at Charlotte Douglas. .15 on the dot, and folks, the countdown's on. Thanksgiving just 10 days away, and travelers already have reason to be thankful. The FAA ended its flight cuts as of 6 this morning. At this hour, there is one cancellation, 16 delays at Charlotte Douglas. Amy Kiley tells us that they affected some of these shortages. Government shutdown affected at least 4% of air traffic at 40 major airports.
I think we're going to have a smooth, hopefully, Thanksgiving travel season.
Airlines are resuming their normal schedules in the U.S. today. The FAA says it's lifting flight restrictions that affected 40 major airports during the government shutdown. A joint statement from that agency and the Transportation Secretary cites, quote, safety trends and the steady decline of staffing trigger events in air traffic control facilities.
It does appear that air traffic controllers are working. The callouts are minimal, and they're all getting bonuses now if they came to work. So I think the morale there is up, as well as the TSA.
Union leaders say it was hard for air traffic controllers to work full-time without pay during the shutdown.
The stresses, the pressure, the fatigue is setting in. Air traffic controllers are texting, I don't even have enough money to put gas in my car to come to work.
The news might be a relief for people flying over Thanksgiving weekend. That's the busiest air travel period of the year, according to TSA data. Experts say passengers should still check airline apps for delays or cancellations, but for more typical reasons.
I think the things we should be looking out for are weather-related incidents that could kind of throw the system out of whack, or outages. But overall, I think things are looking good.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Heavy rain is pounding Southern California and the West Coast bracing for more. We'll show you the impacts.
And folks, just a reminder, coming up tomorrow right here on WCNC Plus, we're going to have Brad Panovich's annual winter weather forecast. We look forward to it every year. Tune in at 6:30. He'll let us know what kind of winter weather we're going to be facing.
And as we head to break, here is an exclusive deal for our viewers.
Hey, you know how we do it. Our team is always testing tons of products. We get rid of the rejects, only show you the best ones, and that's why I want to show you this thing today. It's the Tire Hero Portable Tire Inflator. Let me shut this off for a second. Literally true story, 2 weeks ago, I got stuck on the side of the road, glass in the tire. I barely made it to the gas station. Almost cost me hundreds of dollars to tow. So you need one of these anyway. The reason I think this is one of the best on the market is for this reason. Come on, and let me show you. So let's say you don't know the PSI of your car, you don't know what it's supposed to be, or if you want to inflate a ball, it does it for you. So you see the little car icon right there? You can flip through these. Okay, I want to do my car. No, I want to do my motorcycle, little motorcycle icon. I want to do my bicycle tire, or I want to do a soccer ball or an exercise ball. I just blew these up. The other cool thing about this is this. Come on and look at this. It's got the USB adapters here. It acts as a portable battery charger, so you can charge your tablet, you can charge your phone. It also comes with all these different nozzles for kind of anything you would have. It's small enough to literally, I mean, it's a pretty packed glove compartment, right? Look at that. It still fits. Nice and easy. Got a great deal for you on this today. And by the way, you want one of these anyway. You want this anyway because you can save $60 a year for properly inflated tires. So why wouldn't you? Get this one though, because I think it's the best on the market. $69.99 normally. Got a deal for you today. 20% off down to $55.99. Scan the QR code on the screen right now or go to shoptvdeals.com.
Approaching 8:21 right now here on WCNC Plus. Record rainfall drenching Southern California, triggering flash flooding and roads and landslides as well.
Yesterday, downtown LA received almost 2.5 inches of rain in just 48 hours. Residents have been left with a number of road closures. Those will stay in place until the storm ends and crews can clear the streets. More storms are in the forecast for later in the week.
Let's bring in Chris for the latest. Chris.
Yeah, not a good situation here. However, it's not unusual because oftentimes this atmospheric river is going to set up, and especially when it hits the California coastline, that's where it really gets amplified across the mountains. This thing also happens in Oregon and Washington as well, but this is a low pressure system. It's also providing some snow up in the higher elevations and just a conveyor belt of moisture between Los Angeles and San Francisco. And here is the atmospheric river that I'm talking about. So this big little plume allowing for just excess amount of moisture to blast its way towards California, and that's why they're seeing all that flooding. So let's raise your weather IQ. Atmospheric rivers. Well, it all starts with a bunch of tropical moisture here south of Hawaii, and it could be up to 250 to 500 miles wide. When I say it, that's the actual river. So it literally is a river of moisture that gets carried across the Pacific and is also known as the Pineapple Express, and it can transport it for thousands and thousands of miles. So eventually, once that gets to California, that water vapor is lifted up over the mountains. It condenses into rain and snow. We oftentimes will have a lot more rain in the mountains compared to the Charlotte area because it's the lift of the moisture that maximizes that rainfall, and eventually once it goes to the other side of the mountains, it starts to fade out. Here, meanwhile, back in the other sea, the Carolinas, we have the opposite. We have such a dry atmosphere that it's actually more like winter dry out there. So dry hands, dry everything pretty much for today. So extra lotion is needed over the next couple of days. By the time you get to about Wednesday, we're starting to see the typical moisture start to move back in. Nothing too excessive, nowhere near that tropical range. But anytime you start to see the yellows this time of year, that does show that you have a lot of fuel, sometimes even storm fuel. And that's why oftentimes either side of the Mississippi River this time of year is a second coming of a severe weather season. And you will see a plume of moisture, especially Friday heading to Saturday. That's also going to support our next best rain chance before more of that unseasonal dry air moves back in. So our dew point chart over the next 7 days, it's pleasant to tolerable starting on Wednesday, but we are in that too dry criteria. Anytime we have a dew point below 30, it actually increases drier skin, chapped lips, staticky hair, and static clings. So just keep that in mind. You might notice the difference. My hands are a little bit drier today. Maybe yours or anything else is the same. So just letting you know that's the big changes to go forward as far as the moisture content goes. As far as any rainfall over the coming days, it really looks to be a slight chance for rain right around the mountains, but it's more so Friday night heading into Saturday. The next time you see me talking about the weather coming up here in the next 10 minutes or so, I'll be mentioning just that, starting off with our rain chances. But first, let's get over to Majestic for our morning commute. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. If you're just tuning into the stream, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a great week and it was beautiful, and now your Monday morning commute is still beautiful, but it is busy. Here's my map. We have multiple ongoing crashes. I'm not seeing any significant delays at this point, but I do still want to let you know that they are clearing this, where a lane is blocked because of a crash. We've been talking about this for over 30 minutes now. South Boulevard, both lanes impacted at Woodlawn Road. So with that being said, here's a picture of that crash right there. You can see a couple of police officers there on scene, again clearing now South Boulevard and Woodlawn. That's going to be the biggest thing that we're watching for now. We'll have some more updates coming up here in a little while.
Majestic, thanks. We're going to take a live look now over uptown. Make sure that you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. At 8:30, we're going to have the day's top headlines as well as another check of weather and traffic.
Well, good morning, everybody. Just letting you know the next couple of days are going to be super dry, so a better chance for drier skin and some of that staticky cling because we are almost too dry for this time of the year. There's also a higher fire danger. Occasional gusts getting up to 15, 20 miles per hour, but should be picture perfect all in all. You're looking at a high temperature right around 66 degrees today, and then by the time we get to about 11 o'clock, we're back down into the mid 40s. Our 7-day forecast is looking grand, my friends. You're really going to like where we're going. This is a good looking 7-day. You have a 76, 75 degree point hitting on Wednesday and Thursday, lower to the mid 70s on Friday and Saturday, and then you have a chance for rain really Friday night heading into Saturday morning. Majestic, take it away. What's going on this morning?
It's beautiful and nice. This is I-77 at John Belk, where area roadways are flowing all right, and those drive times are just about what we would expect for this time of the day. It's 8:27 if you're heading out the door anytime soon. Still a handful of ongoing wrecks. Still want to give you an update on this one. We've been following it for over 30 minutes now. Lane is blocked because of a crash South Boulevard both ways at Woodlawn Road. Here's a picture of that. You can see a couple of police officers there on scene trying to clear it, but if you do drive throughout this area, just allow for a little extra time.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30 on this Monday. I'm Lisa Washington.
Then I'm Ben Thompson. This morning, we're waiting to see if federal agents will be back here in Charlotte around different neighborhoods targeting people in the country illegally.
Now, here's what we know right now. The operation is dubbed Charlotte's Web. It began on Saturday. We know that more than 80 people have been arrested and several businesses are closing their doors to protect employees and customers. Those arrests sparking multiple protests across the city. Already this morning, we know of a planned student walkout at East Mecklenburg High School. And later today, the group Action NC is asking residents to go to the Charlotte City Council meeting tonight and call on council members to take action.
And as we mentioned, with immigrant communities on edge, some businesses are shutting down. That includes a popular Charlotte bakery open for nearly 3 decades. The owner of Manolo's Bakery says he doesn't want his customers to be targeted just by visiting his shop. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live in East Charlotte with more on that difficult decision. Destiny.
That's right. The owner says he made that decision after seeing Border Patrol agents stop people just a few feet away from the front entrance. Now, Manolo's Bakery has been a longtime staple on Central Avenue, a gathering place for families and workers for nearly 3 decades. But this week, the doors will not open. The owner, Manolo Bancor, says he decided to close after watching several people being stopped and pushed to the ground outside without questions and without warnings. Bancor says this is the first time in 28 years that he drove down this street and saw every business near him closed out of fear. He says he'll reopen only when he feels his customers can safely walk to his counter.
They didn't approach them. They didn't even ask them, what's your status? And I don't want to blame myself, knowing that maybe a kid lost her father or their mother because wasn't his way to buy bread at the bakery.
The community has responded with love, covering his storefront with handwritten notes and drawings of support. And even though the doors remain closed, he says the outpouring of support is what's keeping him going. And like other businesses in the area that have closed in response to these Border Patrol operations, he doesn't know when he'll reopen, but says protecting people is more important than any profit. I'll send it back to you guys live here from East Charlotte.
Destiny, just curious, we know that bakery is closed. Have you seen the owner there this morning? Have any customers stopped by?
Yeah, we did see him here this morning. Again, doors closed, have not seen any customers, but he said that he came here to do payroll, to make sure that his employees, who he's also protecting, are getting paid. Again, he said that he witnessed rather aggressive activity, Border Patrol activity outside his doors. He wants to protect not only customers, but also the employees who come to work for him as well. And still no timeline on reopening, just until it's safe to do so.
All right, Destiny Richards, thanks for that report.
Of course, that's not the only one. We're learning of several other businesses closing their doors in our communities. Last night, El Atardecer, a restaurant in Indian Trail, posted a message on social media saying they're closing for the safety of their customers. And faith leaders also sharing their concerns about customs and border protection operations. We caught up with leaders at Camino Church, an organization that supports Charlotte's Latino community. While the pastor tells us they support efforts to get criminals off the streets, he says this weekend's actions have been concerning.
You know, the promise of Border Patrol coming into our community to get out the violent criminals. The community I serve, we're all for that, right? Because many times they're victims of those crimes. But what we're seeing is that campaign of law and justice has turned into a campaign of terror for our community.
Ever since those reports of Border Patrol coming to the city began, we have been hearing from our local and state leaders, and that's increased. In a newly released video, North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein criticized CBP's tactics, saying in part officers are racially profiling citizens.
To the CBP, if you know that we have violent criminals in Charlotte who are undocumented, we want them out too. Everyone wants to be safe in their communities. But the actions of too many federal agents are doing the exact opposite in Charlotte. We've seen masked, heavily armed agents in paramilitary garb driving unmarked cars, targeting American citizens based on their skin color, racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots and off of our sidewalks.
Mecklenburg County Republican Party Chairman Kyle Kirby sharing his views right here on WCNC Plus, suggesting this could have been avoided with stricter law enforcement from local officials.
Well, I wonder if our local government elected officials had been stronger on public safety in Charlotte, would Charlotte have taken a center point in the idea that immigration enforcement and Border Patrol needs to come here in the first place? So I've got to question whether or not, if we were more serious about safety for Charlotteans, would we be in the limelight of federal enforcement of Border Patrol and immigration tactics?
Welcome to a beautiful day, everybody. Here's on top of Beach Mountain. You can see some of that fresh snow. They've been trying to make a lot more. It's actually actively going on right now. As temperatures are right around that freezing point. It's freezing where we're looking right now. And if we head to the opposite direction over here in Anson, we have Louisville. This is on top of one of our tower cams. Beautiful blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. It's pretty much what we're going to be rocking today. I mentioned I want to talk a little bit more about our rainfall chances, and they are not affecting us right away. We will see a little disturbance roll through late Tuesday into Wednesday. That should be primarily through the mountains. But for Charlotte specifically, I think our best chance for rain is going to be Friday night and Saturday morning. After that, things start to dry out. Still keeping an isolated rain chance for your Sunday, but it's still out and about. Right now, our QPF, our quantitative precipitation forecast, is showing a very low amount of precipitation. Now, this is done by the Climate Prediction Center and the Storm Prediction Center. They're going to put out these different maps working in tandem, and this one is just showing that there's not a lot of high rain chance probability. Here's a look at those rain chances for some of our long-range models. You can see a widespread rain event really setting up between the Kentucky and Tennessee border. This is 11 p.m. on Tuesday, but as I mentioned, it's mainly the mountains that could see that. I think if we have anything, it's just going to be a few sprinkles around Charlotte and the greater Charlotte area. And then moving on to our next rain chance, we see signs of rain right along the mountains again on Friday, but it's more so Friday night that we start to spread this system in here. But again, it's encountering a lot of drier air, so it's not really a guarantee. This is not a big Saturday ruiner by any stretch of the imagination. And then eventually, we're going to allow for another drying trend, another high pressure system dries us out, and then we'll see another similar system, big old low that swoops through. This one for the long range, now outside of 10 days, does look to be finally a trip below normal, where we have had a really nice trend recently, and our 7-day forecast has really showed true that we're staying well above normal over the next 7 days. Rolling our futurecast over the next day or two, you see a passing cloud or two heading into tomorrow morning, and then mostly clear for your Tuesday as well. So our 7-day forecast, brought to you by the Jerry Hunt Super Center, has the mid to the upper 60s, and after that we have the mid 70s. So Wednesday and Thursday are almost identical days, which, by the way, I always have the averages on top here. 39 is the average low, 62 is the average high. And if you look closely, Tuesday morning, a low of 39 is the only average, and that's just absolutely average morning that we have. Other than that, most of our lows are stretching across the 50s, and most of our highs are anywhere from the upper 60s to the mid 70s. These are only 2 days that are in the mid 60s. Today and your Sunday are still above the norm of 62. So that's really astronomical, to say the least. And looking even further than that for our 10-day forecast, you can start to see a little dip in the temperatures further back down to more of the lower 60s, and that would be officially for the following Wednesday. That's November 26th, meaning that most of the next 10 days are at least normal to above normal. So enjoy this trend while we have it. It certainly is another rarity. Let's see if we have anything rare for our morning commutes. It's going on. Majestic?
Good morning. It's pretty ordinary, I would say, at this point. We do have some accidents to let you know about. It is 8:39. It's busy out there as a lot of people are now heading back into their work week. It's sunny. It's a nice start to the day, though. You can see that's I-77 heading really from York County, Mecklenburg County. If you're heading those directions, it seems to be all right. This is I-77 at John Belk, where it is busy, but we don't have any crashes. Our drive times this morning, if you're coming in from Salisbury, plan accordingly. It's going to take you right around 50 minutes or so. And then here's our live traffic map. You can still see a handful of ongoing wrecks. This one is close to I-77, but it's not actually on I-77 and not completely cleared, although they are working on it. A lane is blocked because of a crash. This is on South Boulevard, impacting both directions at Woodlawn Road. Again, here's a picture of that actual accident. You can see a couple of police officers there on scene, and that crash there right in the middle of the street. So plan for just a little bit of a delay there, but you are still able to get through. In addition to that, I want to let you know about this one here. It's going to be out towards Pineville. There's a crash on Polk Street at Lancaster Highway. That orange just means that cars are moving rather slowly, which makes sense because there is a crash there. And then once we're heading over towards 485, we do have that one leftover crash that's going to be well east of Uptown. And then inbound lanes on Independence starting to slow down even more than it was just about 10 minutes ago, but at least we are not seeing that red at this time. Those are a few things that I'm watching for you right now. We'll have another check on those roads coming up here soon.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much. We want to go to some live pictures right now. This is outside of East Mecklenburg High School, where what appears to be students out of the school building there. We see some of them with signs in hand. We aren't sure. We heard reports of a possible protest there, maybe students walking out. So we're going to continue to monitor this to bring you any new information as we get it. Of course, this all comes following the activity in the Charlotte area over the weekend with the Border Patrol agents in town. We know that more than 80 arrests were made. We don't know what today will bring, but of course we will continue to follow this. Again, this is East Mecklenburg High School.
All right, 8:41 right now on WCNC Plus. President Trump reversing course this morning, now urging House Republicans to release the Epstein files. Ahead when that vote might happen.
A bright 11-year-old with an infectious smile who disappeared after getting off her school bus in Cornelius in 2022.
From November the 22nd to December the 15th, 23 days went by where he didn't know the location of Madalena Kochikar.
Conflicting stories from her mother and stepfather, a boarded-up bedroom, fires in the backyard of her home, secret recordings, and trips out of state.
Bottom line is she's a suspect in the disappearance of her own daughter.
Everyone's still asking, where is Madalena?
Our goal is to find Madalena, and we're not going to stop until we do.
The Search for Madalena, streaming on WCNC Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Eight 8:45 right now here on WCNC Plus. We've got some live pictures outside East Meck High School where students were told are starting to stage a protest. They're outside the school. We were anticipating this. We've been told this earlier in the day that the students might walk out there in protest. A few minutes ago before the break, we saw some students outside holding signs. Can't make out much from this vantage point exactly, but we did see some protesters just a few moments ago. Of course, this comes after a weekend filled with protests across the city of Charlotte because of immigration operations that started happening on Saturday and continued into Sunday. More than 80 people arrested. A lot of folks in the community speaking out against the way that it's being done specifically. But again, just one of the protests happening this morning. We anticipate to see more protests like this, not just today, but quite possibly throughout the week here in Charlotte. And at this hour, we continue coverage of the Border Patrol operations. Federal officials say they've made more than 80 arrests over the weekend. We spoke to some folks, many voicing concerns and strong opposition to the agents being here. One neighbor said she and her friends have been tracking Border Patrol activity in East Charlotte since Saturday.
We're looking for them everywhere, warning people that ICE was in the neighborhood and everything. And we were just following them all the way from where Speedway is in University. And we came across this stand and just saw all these people gathered up, ICE trucks everywhere.
The commander, Greg Bavino, posted on social media highlighting several arrests and noting that each of the individuals taken into custody has a criminal history.
Meanwhile, we are hearing from witnesses of a Border Patrol operation in East Charlotte. These folks who say they were stunned by what they saw as Border Patrol pulled a man from his car in front of his family.
They were treating him like less than an animal, like, you know, because you would treat a dog with more, you know, compassion than that, even one that's acting aggressively. But this guy was acting very calm. He's a human.
Now, in response to many folks not wanting to leave their homes, some of the local businesses like Compare Foods are helping families maintain a peaceful shopping experience. They're offering free grocery deliveries through the end of the year. Also, Wow Supermarket on South Boulevard also temporarily offering delivery and pickup service for anyone in the surrounding area who needs it. All you have to do is call the market at the number on your screen. The delivery is available from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m.
President Trump now calling on House Republicans to vote to release the files on notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, writing, quote, "We have nothing to hide," after previously dismissing the push as a hoax by Democrats.
NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
As the House prepares for a vote this week aimed at forcing the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, President Trump changing course overnight, posting Republicans should vote to release the files because we have nothing to hide. The president has long opposed the push that he's called a hoax by Democrats.
They're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party.
While also condemning Republicans who back the bill, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a longtime ally. She says she's faced threats after his recent criticism.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
The president, who was once friends with Epstein, denies any wrongdoing and has never been charged in connection with Epstein's sex trafficking crimes, now saying he does not care about the files' release and wants Republicans to get back on point, as the Republican and Democrat leading the charge in the House reject claims of partisanship and predict the vote will pass in a landslide.
I think we could have a deluge of Republicans. What we're asking for is justice for those survivors. So it's not about Donald Trump.
Survivors of Epstein's abuse preparing to rally at the Capitol this week, urging lawmakers to remember their stories.
I would say, please remember that these are crimes that were committed against real humans.
Pushing to move past politics to accountability. President Trump has now directed the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's relationship with several prominent Democrats mentioned in a trove of emails a House committee released last week that also referenced the president, including one from Epstein saying that he, quote, knew about the girls. The White House denies it, stressing the convicted sex offender was a known liar. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And folks, don't forget, coming up tomorrow right here on WCNC Plus, we've got Brad Panovich's annual winter weather forecast. It's coming up tomorrow, 6:30, right here on WCNC Plus, to let us know what we're in store for the rest of the winter.
Good morning, good morning. So it is a beautiful start to the day, lots of sunshine, but just letting you know it's a little bit on the drier side. Whenever you have relative humidity values that especially start to approach below 30%, and we're actually not too far off from that, that's where you're really starting to sense that it's some really dry air. And we could have some occasional gusts of 20 miles per hour. This is just really the lingering fire danger from yesterday. Yesterday was much higher, but we still have some of these fire maps that are released by NC State each and every day, and it's very high fire danger for our entire area today and then again tomorrow. Our current 36-hour forecast is looking really good. Not much going on. There's a slight chance for a little bit of rain right here in the high country. That's Tuesday night into Wednesday. But this passing front, this one right here, that's right, that's going to really warm us up. We're back to the mid-70s through the middle of this week, and then eventually back to the 60s next Sunday, but more 70s and 60s. That's an above-average 7-day forecast. But Jesse, take it away. What's going on for our morning commute?
Still pretty busy out there for our Monday morning commute. Not seeing anything significantly slowing people down, though, on I-77 or I-85, so at least that's some good news. There's some of those drive times for that morning commute. If you're coming in from Matthews, just under 25 minutes to get you into Uptown. Here's my map. We do still have several ongoing problems. This one is new. It's going to be right on Independence, northbound lanes. Make sure you're careful there, as it is an active crash that is going to slow you down just about 5 to 10 minutes. This is going to be on Independence near Chesterfield Ave. Again, inbound lanes being impacted there.
Majestic thinks a Gastonia police canine is celebrating its 4th birthday. Police say Bando has made an incredible impact during his time on the team. Now, just to give you an idea of how hardworking this German Shepherd is, Bando has tracked and located 54 suspects, found narcotics in 31 incidents, and helped lead to the arrest of 70 suspects. Police say Bando is a perfect example of dedication, teamwork, and the powerful bond between a canine and handler.
How about it, Bando?
That's right.
I hope Bando gets a big steak for his birthday. He
Sounds
deserves
good.
it.
Absolutely.
He worked hard. All right, folks, keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Our own Jane Monreal is going to take over at the top of the hour from our live Impact studio. She's going to be speaking with North Carolina Representative Aisha Dew. She's going to be live in studio talking about the Border Patrol operations that we've been talking about all morning long here on WCNC Plus. Keep it right here.
Hello, everybody. So today's highs are going to be still a little bit cooler than where we were yesterday, but still amazing. 66 degrees high today. Now it's not 79, understandable, but at least we have that sunshine. Wind should be lighter than yesterday, but still occasional gusts getting up to about 15, 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow closer to 70 degrees, but check it out. The 70s are back, and we even have some milder lows kicking off in the 30s. Mid 70s for your Wednesday and Thursday, lower to the mid 70s on Friday and Saturday. Next best chance for rain looks to be Friday night into Saturday. Slight chance for rain on Sunday, and that's when we're back to the 60s. So enjoy the 70s while we have them. Enjoy this morning commute. What's going on, Majestic?
Well, good Monday morning, everyone. Time to get the morning started. If you're making that morning commute in from Belmont to Charlotte, it'll take you right around 25 minutes. So we're seeing really basically our typical drive times for our morning commute. Couple things to know, though. It's gorgeous outside. You'll want a jacket and probably some sunglasses. That's I-77 there at John Belk. Still looking at Independence, though, as we do have a crash here. Those inbound lanes. It's going to slow you down a few minutes, so plan accordingly. Or you can just take Monroe Road and take that northbound, but it's going to be on Independence right near Chesterfield Ave. That's the most important thing to know. Hope you have a great Monday.